Zita steps into the house with her purple bag. Both women are tense yet intrigued. The dialogue begins cautiously, but reveals startling similarities that suggest the bags are connected to something bigger. Zita said calm, but uneasy, "I know this will sound strange, but this bag brought me here. I don't know how or why, but when I touched it, I just knew I had to find you." Tony, hesitant, said, "What are you talking about? I've been trying to get rid of this bag for weeks. It won't leave me alone." Zita showing photos. "I found these in my bag. They're photos of someone I've never met, but I saw your face in a dream. I think these bags are connected. I think they're trying to tell us something." Tony, panicking slightly, "Connected? You mean there's more than one? What does it want from us?" Tony, nervously, "I checked online too. The name on the back of the photo, it's connected to an address in the next town. It's strange, but I feel like it's a clue." Zita, leaning forward, "That's odd. I found the same thing, an address linked to the name on my photo, but I was too scared to go alone." Tony, hesitating, "Do you think we're supposed to find this place?" Zita, firmly, "Why don't we go together? Tomorrow morning? It's the weekend. We can figure this out together." Tony, reluctantly nodding, "Okay, but I have a bad feeling about this. What if we're walking into something we're not ready for?" Zita, with quiet determination, "We already are, and ignoring it hasn't helped either of us." Zita and Tony had a mission, one address, one destination, and countless questions waiting for answers. With a ticket in hand and determination in their hearts, they stepped aboard the bus bound for the next town. Zita glanced out the window, her finger tracing shapes on the glass, while Tony studied the crumpled address they carried like a treasure map. "This place holds the key," Tony murmured. Zita nodded. "We'll find it, whatever it is." The bus slowed as they approached the town ahead, shadows of tall buildings stretching into view. What awaited them at the address was anyone's guess, but Zita and Tony were ready. Because every journey starts with a step, or, in this case, a bus ride. What would they discover next? When the bus came to a stop, Zita and Tony stepped off, their eyes scanning the unfamiliar streets. That's when they met him, the taxi driver, with a knowing smile and a knack for directions. He listened as they explained their search and nodded knowingly. Taxi driver, with a warm chuckle, "Hop in. I know the house you're looking for." The taxi weaves through the narrow streets, eventually stopping outside a small, weathered house at the edge of town. The house stood quietly, its faded shutters barely holding on, a hint of mystery lingering in the air. Zita and Tony approached the door, their hands brushing against the purple bags they had carried this far. Knocking on the door. "Who are you?" Zita leaned closer to the door, her voice steady but kind. "Zita, you don't know us, but we have your purple bags." A moment of silence, broken only by the faint creak of a floorboard inside. Then, a shadow moved behind the curtains. Someone was peeking, carefully pulling the fabric aside. Finally, the door creaked open, just a crack at first, and then wide enough to reveal a woman with tired eyes but an air of knowing. She looked at them, at the bags, and then back again. It was clear she knew why they had come. Zita and Tony step into a small, warm living room. The woman gestures for them to sit as she disappears briefly into the kitchen. Moments later, she returned, her hands carrying a tray with 3 steaming cups of tea. The elderly woman stared at the purple bag in their hands and sighed deeply. She understood why they were there. She had been waiting for this day. Sitting at the dining table, she began to share her story. "It's all my fault," she whispered, her voice trembling. "I was careless. I trusted the wrong person." She spoke of a time long ago, of a woman she once called a friend, a woman she trusted with her most private thoughts, and then, she paused before recounting the moment that changed her life. "I was pregnant with my daughter," she continued, her hands trembling around the cup. "I attended a wedding in Italy, held in a beautiful old church. During the ceremony, a priest approached me. He said he saw something in the spirit of vision. He told me my unborn child was destined for greatness, a genius who would create and achieve incredible things." Her eyes glistened with tears as she went on. "I should have kept that to myself, prayed over it, but I was foolish. I confided in her, my so-called friend, and that was where everything began to go wrong." The elderly woman sits across from Zita and Tony, her voice soft yet weighted with emotion. The room is dimly lit, with the flicker of a single candle casting shadows on the walls. The woman took a deep breath, her hands trembling slightly as she cradled her tea. "It all started when my daughter turned 10. She was such a bright, creative child, She could draw anything. Her art was her passion and her gift. But everything began to change when my so-called friend started buying her gifts. She began buying purple handbags for my daughter. Birthdays, Christmas, any reason she could find. It was always a purple bag. At first, I thought it was just her way of spoiling my child. After all, purple was my daughter's favorite color. But then, strange things started happening. My daughter wasn't the same anymore. She struggled with her art, her talent. My daughter, she hasn't been the same. After years of fighting against the curse that bag brought into her life, she lost herself. She's now in a mental home. I tried everything, prayed, fasted, begged for mercy, but the damage had been done. That friend of mine, she destroyed my family. The two women exchanged uneasy glances, their expressions a mix of shock and sorrow. Tony asked, "Is she still in this town?" The elderly woman nods slowly. "Yes, she's in Steedy Mary's mental institution, just on the outskirts of this town." My so-called friend, she didn't just stop with my daughter. She took my husband away from me, and him, he just went, like I never mattered. The elderly woman sits quietly, her hands clasped tightly as her voice carries a tone of reflection. And I decided to draw closer to God, to seek answers, to understand what was wrong with my daughter, what was wrong with my family. And that's when I heard it, deep in my spirit. It was the purple bag. I tried to get rid of it. I put it up for sale at every garage sale I could. But every time, people brought it back, complaining of strange costs, troubles, and problems. No matter what I did, the bag refused to leave. Zita said, "We've already taken time off work, so let us stay. Tomorrow morning, and for the next 4 days, we'll come here, fast, pray, and read the scriptures. Together, we'll ask God for direction on what to do with these purple bags and how to restore your daughter's health." Tony nods in agreement, her voice filled with determination, and said, "Yes, we'll fight this spiritually. Whatever curse or hold these bags have, it ends here." "I haven't prayed with anyone in years," the woman said. "I've felt so alone in this battle." The elderly woman clasps her hands together, tears streaming down her face. Thank you so much. We'll trust God to guide us and bring healing to your daughter." The elderly women drove the two ladies to a hotel in the next street. Every morning, before the sun kissed the streets, the two friends would leave their modest hotel, nestled just a street away from the elderly woman's home. With hearts full of hope and desperation, they embarked on a spiritual journey like no other. In her humble dining room, they immersed themselves in the Word of God. They sought wisdom through scriptures, studying stories of forgiveness, breaking generational curses, and foundations of redemption. Morning after morning, their prayers became cries for mercy. They begged God for direction, for answers to the mystery of the purple bag and the restoration of a lost soul. The three women bow their heads, a quiet prayer filling the room as the atmosphere shifts. The sense of purpose in their hearts grows stronger. They fasted, prayed, but after 4 days of fasting, praying, and meditating, silence filled their hearts. They heard nothing until the 5th night. That 5th night, all three women, despite their different hotel and home locations, had the same dream. In the dream, they stood together in a vast misty field. A towering tree with deep roots glowed with purple light. Beneath the tree, a young girl, the daughter, sat weeping, surrounded by piles of purple bags. As they approached her, a voice thundered from the sky. "The root of your trouble lies beneath what you see. Unearth it, and you shall be free." The women awoke, shaken, but unified in their vision. This wasn't just about the bags anymore. It was about digging deep into the past, confronting hidden truths, and uncovering the real curse tied to the purple bags. After the dream, we couldn't understand it. It didn't make sense at first. But then, there was another dream, and this time the elderly woman remembered the bracelet. She said, "It was a gift from my so-called friend. A bracelet with a love brooch. She gave it to my daughter during a time when she was engaged to be married. They were so happy together, planning their future. But then, everything changed. Out of nowhere, he started hitting her. The engagement was canceled. He said horrible things to her, called her a witch, accused her of haunting his dreams, said she looked old and wretched in those dreams. He claimed she wasn't his class, that she was beneath him." My daughter was devastated, heartbroken. She couldn't understand what she had done to deserve this. None of us could. Every relationship since had ended the same way, shattered before it even began. The woman rushed to her daughter's room with the two ladies, her heart pounding as if it already knew the answer. She scoured the room until her eyes locked on a bracelet with a large, heart-shaped pendant, engraved with her daughter's name. It was a gift from her so-called best friend. She felt a strange unease as she held it. Without hesitation, she took the bracelet outside and smashed it with a hammer. What spilled out horrified her. A piece of paper with her daughter's full name scrawled on it, surrounded by words like rejection, hatred, backwardness, frustration. The paper was wrapped in red thread, and though it looked ordinary, it carried a sinister weight. Shaking, the woman rushed back into the house and retrieved holy water and oil, blessed by her pastor. With trembling hands, she poured the water and oil over the bracelet and paper. Instantly, the items began to dissolve, melting as though consumed by an unseen fire. The woman froze, overwhelmed by awe and fear, as the remnants vanished completely. She hurried back to find the purple bags. Every last one of them, including the ones brought by the two ladies, had disappeared without a trace. They stood there in stunned silence before breaking into joyful songs of praise, thanking God for revealing the answer that had been hidden in plain sight. The next day, they attended church together, offered thanksgiving, and sowed a seed of gratitude. Afterward, they went to the market, bought food, and prepared meals to share with the homeless in their community. It was their way of showing God's love and faithfulness in their lives. As they returned home, the woman's phone rang. It was the mental clinic. The doctor on the other end informed her that her daughter was ready to come home. "She's fine now," the doctor said. "You can come and pick her up." The woman fell to her knees, weeping with joy. But before she could fully process the miracle, the doorbell rang. When she opened it, she saw her husband standing there. He looked pale and disoriented, but spoke with conviction. "I don't know what came over me. I woke up yesterday in a strange house with a strange woman. It was like I had been under a spell, but it's gone now. I had to run to come back here." Unable to contain her joy, the woman knelt on the ground, raising her hands in praise. She sang, "You are Alpha and Omega. I worship you, my Lord. You are worthy to be praised." The elderly woman reunited with her family, her daughter restored, and her husband redeemed. The three women reflected on the power of faith, forgiveness, and perseverance, knowing that their journey had been a testament to God's unyielding grace. As the bus rattled gently along the winding road, the two women sat side by side, their hearts brimming with joy and gratitude, leaving only peace and fulfillment. The once mysterious journey that brought them together had revealed something far greater than they could have imagined: faith, redemption, and the power of unity in the face of darkness. The weight of the past few days seemed to have lifted. Though they came as strangers, they were leaving as sisters in purpose, bonded by an unshakable resolve and the knowledge that they had been part of a miracle. Now, as they headed back to their towns, their spirits were renewed, their faith stronger, and their mission complete. Sometimes the answers we seek are found not just in the destination, but in the journey and the people we meet along the way. So, what do you think about this story? What could the purple bag truly represent? Could it be more than just a gift? And what about the bracelet? Was it a coincidence, or something far more sinister? What would you have done in the mother's place? And do you think the family's unity can last, or could something else be at play? If you're curious to find out more and love stories that keep you thinking, don't forget to subscribe to my channel for more intriguing tales. Like, comment your thoughts, and share this story with others.